Hello guys, welcome to a bit of this and a bite of that. My name is Nick from Barking Mad Tech.
My name is Yazin from Snicket.
And today we're going to talk about tech news.
Yeah, we're back again.
How have you been?
I've been well. Can you stop interrupting me?
Nope.
Goddamn. Okay, yeah, how you been?
I've been good. Last podcast we did was over a month ago.
Oh yeah, that was when you were back in Greece.
Yep, I am now back in Sweden, so we are once again in the same locale.
Yeah. But we're grateful to have you here. Easier to schedule the podcast now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, of course, sad that it didn't work out down there. But, you know, shit happens.
Life gets in the way.
Absolutely. All right, so what you been gaming recently?
What have I been playing recently? I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 online with a couple of friends. I've also been playing some Witcher 3. That's always kind of constantly in the background for me.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those you constantly return to.
Yeah, like here and then. I always have one or two campaigns going in that game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
How about you?
I've been playing Quake 2 RTX on my new RTX laptop.
Yeah, I watched that. That was pretty cool.
It is a really cool game. Seeing that game with such insane graphics is sort of crazy. I think it's really nice. I wish that it performed better though. So when I'm playing with my RTX 2060 on 1080p, I'm getting roughly 40 FPS in Quake 2, you know?
Yeah.
Which is sort of fucked. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
We should keep in mind that this is a laptop 2060.
This is a laptop 2060, yeah. So it's not, nor is it a 2060 Super. So,
no.
You know, it's pretty good. And then I've been playing some Risk of Rain 2.
Oh yeah, I've been playing that too. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, we've been playing that together for a bit.
Yep.
I've been playing with some other friends. It's really fun. It's quite the fun LAN game. It's always fun to find like a new game that works for LAN parties very well. Mm. And then we also played, speaking of LANs, we played a bit of Among Us.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
It's pretty fun.
That's a great LAN game.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of...
it's like Clue, sort of?
Yeah, exactly. I would say it's like Clue.
Yeah.
Kind of like Clue / Secret Hitler. It's very...
It's very fun. It's one of those games that absolutely everyone should try. Is it in the game? Pretty cheap, I think.
Yeah, I think it's should be €3.99.
Yeah, and when it's on sale, it's even cheaper.
Yeah.
So absolutely one of games two of those games, both Risk of Rain 2 and Among Us is something to look into if you're having a LAN party soon.
And Risk of Rain does something extremely weird with that compression, where to the point where like it's a pretty big game, in terms of what you're doing, but like the file size is in the megabytes.
Oh yeah,
it's not even a gigabyte long.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's basically an instant download.
Yeah. And it's really nice. So for that purpose, it's amazing.
Yep.
You can also mod it to play more than 4 players, I know.
Absolutely.
Which is really fun. And, well, there's just so much to get into that game, but it's also easy for a new player to pick up and understand.
Yep.
So that's definitely great LAN game, I would say.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing.
Just a fair warning, you can go on for basically an infinite amount of time, because it's just the gameplay loop it's a loop.
Yeah, and average, like, I think 90 minutes is like the average run time for a run before you fail or win or whatever. So I think you can go on for quite a long time. I remember the first number of our friends got that game, they were playing for 5 hours straight or something like that in one run, which was insane. We were telling them, yo, can we play something together? And I'm like, only 10 more minutes. We got to finish this run. Yep. We did that for 3 hours, which is insane. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's get into some news.
Okay, so AMD launches specifications, or rather announced specifications for the new 3rd gen APUs, and they're doing what they've done in the past, where they've gone with the naming being one generation ahead of the non-APU parts. But these are...
Oh, yeah.
This is the same silicon that goes into the 3600 or the 3600 XT.
Okay.
Even though it's called the 4000
series.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is supposed to be a generation ahead, but it's not correct.
No, it's just they do that with their APUs.
Oh, okay.
They always use the naming of one generation ahead. I don't know why.
Okay, but it's just a thing they do.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think this is essentially just the laptop parts translated over to desktop, which of course means a higher TDP and higher performance.
Oh yeah.
So the lineup we're looking at goes down from 8 cores and 16 threads, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. 8 cores, 16 threads. So we're looking at the Ryzen 7 4700G. The G, of course, indicates that there's a graphics chip on there. And got there, it's 8 core 16 threads, as I said. It's a base frequency of 3.6 gigahertz, a turbo of 4.4, that's quite high for an APU especially, and then it's got total cache of 12 megabytes, that's not bad. Bit disappointing, it's using Vega graphics and not RDNA. That's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, especially against a new generation of APUs. You would want to see that kick off some more.
Yeah.
Sort of, because if you can do that right, that's a pretty nice thing.
Maybe they're waiting for... Because maybe they're just not doing it with Navi, right? Because RDNA 2.0 is not finished quite yet, and that's what's going to be in the new console. So maybe they're waiting for that sort of background architecture to be finalized.
Oh yeah, because when they've done APUs for the consoles anyway, they're probably going to have a good base to work off with the PCs.
So that's maybe what they're doing. So we're still looking at Vega here. So I don't know if there's going to be any particular graphical sort of upgrade from the current gen of APUs.
Yeah,
I think probably the biggest difference would be that you now have up to an 8-core processor.
Oh yeah.
One thing I will add though is that these are, for now at least, going to be OEM only.
Oh yeah.
We know that they are going to ship some sort of APU, next gen APU, or rather this gen APU.
Yeah.
To the DIY market. We don't know it's going to be these ones specifically.
Okay, so it's something coming, but we don't know what.
No, this is going to be for OEM, and by OEM I imagine they're thinking like Dell HP.
Oh, okay.
And that sort of, because I think they don't count, for example, like CyberPower or anything else like OEM.
Oh, okay.
AMD doesn't.
And then you have the GE.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You go
and those are the energy efficient ones, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. So you go for like there's Ryzen 7 4700G and Ryzen 5 4600G.
Oh yeah.
Both of those are 65 watt CDP parts.
Oh, okay.
And then you have the GE series, which is just the same specs, core specs basically. The clock speed is a bit slower.
Oh, yeah.
And they're 35 watt CDPs. So they're for more energy efficient construction side, I would assume. It would be interesting to see, you can also look at the GPU clock. You see that the GPU clock has been tuned down significantly on the GE parts.
Yeah. We're going to see if we can add a graph here in the video later with all this info.
Yep.
Maybe we'll just cap this info here.
Exactly.
So you can see closer. But yeah, also you can see it. So yeah, you can see that there's tuned down except on this one. It's the same one.
Yep.
And the same one on this one. But on the higher end, they had to tone it down, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Then we got an interesting thing here. The Ryzen 5 4600G has a higher base clock than the highest spec'd one.
Yes. I think we've seen
the same with the Ryzen 3 there, but they have a lower boost clock.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. The way they decided that they want to roll with that.
So again, graphics-wise, it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
But maybe the market for this is not gamers. I would assume this is for people who maybe they do CPU intensive tasks that don't really require a particularly beefy GPU.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they want 8 cores, but they don't really need to spend the extra money to get like a GPU.
Oh yeah, probably.
So maybe then like a 4700G is a good
This is where it mostly makes sense, because then you have the built-in graphics as well, and you don't have to waste money.
Because right now, if you just want to go for an integrated graphics solution, you don't have the on AMD at least.
Yeah.
You don't have the option to go for more than 4 cores and 8 threads.
Yeah. So this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. We've seen some graphs from AMD as well, talking about how the performance is supposed to be like, and they compare it to the i7-9700 in content creation and stuff.
We'll put these in the video as well, so you can have a look at them.
And it seems the most impressive one, in my opinion, is almost the middle one. So we're talking the Ryzen 5 compared to the i5.
Yeah, the 4600G. Maybe that could be like... I'm thinking, like, let's say they launch these for DIY markets.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this could be things like you have a fairly limit. I mean, we don't know what they're going to launch at price wise.
Yeah.
But maybe you have a limited budget, and you're not looking to. Maybe that's something you can buy this.
Yeah.
It'll tide you over. You can play games on low settings for a while.
Oh yeah.
And then you put in a graphic card, and you already have 6 cores, 12 threads, so you don't need to worry about the CPU bottleneck.
Absolutely.
Like maybe there can be that sort of thing, but we'll see what they launch in the DIY space.
Just make sure ourselves. So they tested like stuff like DaVinci Resolve, Cinebench R20, and Handbrake. Seems like, and there's supposed to be a Athlon, a trio.
Oh yeah.
3 Athlon processors.
Yes.
With the name Gold and Silver.
Yes.
Which is
they're copying the Pentium.
Oh yeah.
the late Pentiums from Intel.
Oh yeah. But that makes sense considering Athlon and Pentiums are. It's funny that they're still competing.
That's true.
While they're still like.
Well, they're now the low-end SKUs.
Yes.
But if we're talking about this, because we know from people like Low Spec Gamer on YouTube and like just generally the really low-end gaming community.
Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a malfunction there. Yeah. Nico, what were you saying about Low Spec Gamer? And
right, so talking about specifically these new Athlons, right?
Yeah.
Because we know that for the low spec gaming community, the really low end gaming, you know, the ones that go in and fuck with INI files to get absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
We know that the AMD already has an Athlon APU.
Yeah.
Something, maybe it was the 300G or the 3000G, something like that.
Oh yeah.
That was cost like I think it was like $50 MSRP.
Oh yeah.
And like 2 cores, 4 threads.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too special, but like they were very impressed with it as an APU, right? So depending on the launch price of these new Athlons, maybe that's a new like splash, because some of these have 4 cores, 4 threads.
That's true.
Which obviously is not great nowadays, but like for a low spec game, you're not looking for what's great.
You're looking for what works.
Yeah, and what you can make work basically. Yeah. And I would say that 4 cores, 4 threads is better than 2 cores, 4 threads.
That is absolutely true.
Because then you're dealing with 4 physical cores, regardless.
So yeah, they're not releasing it for the DIY market yet.
No.
Also, there's the Pro series. It's supposed to be for like high-end workloads.
Yeah, I've never
rather
been
professional setting.
Yeah.
Which is interesting for a processor because it's not really a server processor either.
Like they've done this before, and I don't quite know. It doesn't seem like they're doing like look at the boost clock, for example, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of cache, I think it's pretty much just the same processor rebranded, because it has the same boost and base clocks, same amount of cache, same amount of cores, obviously, same graphics frequency.
Yeah.
So I don't. They've done this before, and I think it's just an OEM marketing thing. I don't think there's actually anything different.
No, yeah, it's maybe this one is made for companies. Like
it might be that they're offering a more substantial support package in terms of tech support
remember VR ready? This one is business ready. There you go.
Yeah.
Instead of VR ready processors,
looking at these slides, we'll put those up later.
Oh yeah, we're gonna put up to what we're referring to.
It seems to be just a matter of they have more QA. Yeah. That I would assume that means they're binned maybe.
Oh yeah.
They're supposedly more reliable. I imagine that just means that they have more extensive support from AMD.
Yeah.
In terms of technical support and replacements and warranty, maybe.
Yeah, and then binning. I mean, that gives you more reliable processor usually.
Yes. And then I assume also, it's also a matter of just having more processors available in that SKU, because they have guaranteed. I'm assuming they have guaranteed fab space to create these processors.
I would guess so as well.
So maybe that's an incentive for large corporations to purchase Ryzen Pros.
Oh yeah, because it's more reliable.
It's less about the silicon itself and more about just the support package that comes with the silicon.
Yeah, I mean that's usually what matters for a company anyway.
Yeah,
you get the PCs for super cheap, like 80% off or whatever in a lot of cases if you're a huge company.
Yep.
But then you pay a lot on top of that for like the actual support and whatnot, and that's I think most. Companies like they need that and whatever. So yeah, that's absolutely great. All right, so let's look at so next one I wanted to look at is Crysis on the Switch.
Oh yeah.
So this is really cool. So Crysis Remastered is something I'm looking forward to. Crysis is one of my favorite games of all time. It's not that great of a game per se, but there are some really cool ideas in it. The graphics are still really good.
Yep.
And I think overall it's just a pretty dope game. So while Crysis Remastered is getting postponed in the last second, people got to take a look at the Switch. Yeah, wonder why. So there was the Switch version you could take a look at. So basically, in the docked mode for the Switch, it runs at 720p. But it uses dynamic scaling, so dynamic range, you know how they do with resolution scaling. That I think Halo was the first one to do that. Halo 5, probably, I think. Halo 4. And they did, or I don't know which Halo it was. It was a Halo game, I think. And they did that, and basically, so the resolution goes up and down depending on what frame rate you're after, and I'm guessing it's 30.
Yeah.
And when you're carrying it, it's 540p to 720p, and that makes sense because the Switch is It's a small screen.
It's a very small screen. It doesn't really matter much.
Yeah. So, and in both cases, it's supposed to be running at 30 FPS.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
No, but like for me, here's the thing: this is interesting. This is cool that they're doing this.
Yeah. But
here's the thing with the Switch, right? And this is why I'm not a big Nintendo guy.
Yeah. Because
like the Nintendo Switch, all Nintendo consoles are meant to play a very specific niche.
Yeah.
In games, and it's Nintendo games. They're cartoony. They're not very demanding.
Yeah.
It's all very simple to run. Multi-person games, let's say.
Oh yeah.
It's a party console. They're always party consoles.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, I don't see the point of porting AAA titles like Crisis Remastered, or The Witcher 3 like they did, or a bunch of other ones. I don't see the point of porting that to Switch because it's not what the Switch is for.
I think there's the both. For me, there's the appeal of gaming. I've said this before. I like gaming on the go, and if I can play like good titles, like AAA titles, that's just nice. Mm-hmm. Which is something that's been pretty cool with the Switch. The fact that you have this, you can play, for example. I mean, before it was Skyrim. Now it's Crisis, which is, just pretty dope. Being able to do that on the go with a handheld is sort of cool. I think that's really appealing. Now, Crisis to be chosen as the game, which is from 2007. Yeah. First of all, a terribly optimized game as well. I don't know, man. Might have been a better one to choose.
Maybe I'm just out of touch, but were people actually asking for Crisis to be remastered?
I would think. I think people were asking for a new Crisis at least.
Really?
Because we haven't had a Crisis since 2013.
Yeah.
And it's still used to benchmark to this day.
Yeah.
In some situations, so I think that there's arguably there's a market for Crisis because I think a lot of people. There's probably also a nostalgia wave coming soon.
Yeah.
For Crisis, so I would say that that's absolutely something you can ride on. But then, the game is good enough. Yeah. It's not a bad game, but it's not that great either. It's one of those games that has a really good first half, and then they're just, haha, it wasn't North Koreans, it was actually aliens. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played Crisis. If you haven't played Crisis yet, though, then it's your fault if you haven't been able to run Crisis at this point. So yeah, this is looking at the footage here. We're just watching some of the stuff, and it looks like when you play it on a PC. Pretty good. So I don't know how much improvement there's going to be in the. I saw some video of Crisis Remastered, but I still maintain that the mod called Crisis Extreme Immersive Mod 3.1 or something like that was the best Crisis that ever looked.
Okay.
But still pretty cool. Yeah. I think it's nice seeing. Personally, I actually will disagree with the fact that that the Switch is made for mainly party games. I think it's fun to see them test the waters with having AAA titles on a console in a handheld. I think
I can get behind that idea.
Yeah.
I would just think I would like to see Nintendo, if they're going to go that route. I would like to see Nintendo go that route in a bit more of a committed way.
Oh, okay.
I guess my thinking is I would like to see them not try and strike the balance. I would like to see them actually try and go for an actual powerful handheld meant for AAA titles. I mean,
all right.
Obviously that's going to be challenging a small package to do. I'm not expecting miracles. I'm just saying I would like them to head in that direction rather than try and make this
sort of like you had the PS4 Pro.
Yeah, but I would like for them to head in the direction of rather than just have a console where people can port inferior versions of their AAA titles. I would like them to have where they can put a good version.
On there. Yeah, that's always been remember the COD games on the Wii, for example, and stuff like that.
There's always kind of been the problem with Nintendo because the Wii U got some AAA titles toward the end of its lifetime.
Yeah, but it was all.
But they were all inferior versions. Kind of the same way. If you can play The Witcher 3 on anything but the Nintendo Switch, I would do that. It's better on Xbox. It's better on PS4. Yeah. It's most certainly better on PC. So if you have the option, you wouldn't really play The Witcher 3 on the Switch.
No. Unless you were really out for that portability.
Yeah.
But if you were to play it at home...
Yes. But I definitely see the appeal of the handheld thing. I would just like them to go in a more committed direction down that route, basically.
Alright, so next we have the DDR4 memories pushed over 6 gigahertz by MSI.
Yes, that's with the big disclaimer that they were cooling the CPU with liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, just a small thing there. It's not too big of an issue.
But even then, they managed to get a Zen 2 CPU to over 5.8 gigahertz. And let me tell you something about Zen 2. And this has been the problem with AMD Zen architecture since its inception doesn't overclock very well.
Oh yeah.
It's very hard to get it to overclock. Like, I remember when the 3900X came out, they were boasting about how they got it on liquid nitrogen to 5.1 gigahertz.
Yeah.
People were getting 5.1 gigahertz on water cooling. On Intel, you know.
Yep. Which is like,
so like,
wow.
It's not an impressive one, but like to get 5.8 gigahertz on on a Zen 2 CPU, I feel like that's pretty impressive.
That does seem pretty good, yeah.
Even with nitrogen. And then in conjunction with that, they managed to overclock the memory to over 6 gigahertz.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is also pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty dope.
It's one of those things that's it's not really significant in any particular way, but
it's just cool. It's cool to show off, I guess.
It seems this was done on an MSI MEG Expressivity Godlike, which is the highest end motherboard available for AM4.
Yeah.
And they were using apparently a Ryzen 3 Pro 4350G, so one of the new ones that isn't officially out yet.
Oh yeah.
But I guess MSI, obviously they have an early sample, so I would assume that's pretty common practice.
And what they've said here is that one of the main reasons why this was possible is because of the cache and the memory controllers being on the same place instead of like spread out over two modules. Yeah. Which means that memory. Because
the way Ryzen is set up, right? Yeah. It's that for the higher core count Ryzens, right? Yeah. You've got multiple little chiplets, each containing a certain number of cores, and then they're connected through Infinity Fabric. Oh yeah. A sort of interconnect, right? So the way that adds latency. Oh yeah. And that's why you want faster RAM, basically, because that helps with the interconnect between those two, between the interconnect, right? But basically, I think because they're using the quad core here. Yeah. That's probably a single CCX chip. Okay. Which means there's only one quad core. Oh yeah. Chiplet. Yeah. And then you don't have to have the because there's no interconnect because there's only one chiplet, so it's basically just a quad core talking to itself. Oh yeah. So there's no latency. Well, maybe there is latency. I wouldn't know specifically, but it's significantly lower if there is. Okay. But that's the same reason because they're talking about the new Ryzen quad cores for the DIY. Yeah. We're talking about the Ryzen 3 3100 and 3300X. Oh yeah. Both of which are pretty excellent value because they're like 1,229 crowns. Yeah. To start with. So it's pretty good value for a 4-core 8-thread processor, which is still pretty good nowadays, I will say. Yeah. But like comparing the 3300X to the 3100, we actually have a quite significant difference in performance. Yeah. Because the 3100 is 2 dual-core chiplets. All right. Which interconnect through Infinity Fabric, right? While the 3300X is 1 quad-core. Yeah. So the latency advantage of the 3300X actually results in a pretty significant performance difference. Oh yeah. So we know that I feel like that's probably how they managed to do it because there's less things to fuck around with. But like still, a 43. Wait, no.
I think it was a 40.
On the 4350G, they managed to get the memory up to 6.118. Yeah. Gigahertz. Yeah. And then they went and overclocked the 4750G. Yeah. To 5.8 gigahertz. So that's even more impressive. That's an 8-core. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's an 8-core 16-thread. So if they managed to get that to 5.8 gigahertz, that is pretty dope. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Even on liquid nitrogen.
And even then, it doesn't really make. I mean, it's not so cool. I mean, it's just show off. Basically.
Yeah, but like it's just interesting to see what they managed to do. Like 6 gigahertz on DDR4, which I feel like it's probably getting close to the red line. Oh yeah, what it's capable of. Oh yeah. I think that's we're gonna talk a little bit about later with shrinking the nanometer, or sort of, well, not shrinking the nanometer per se, but shrinking the amount of nanometers needed to make our things work. We're gonna talk why that has been a problem for a certain company a bit later. But first of all, we're gonna talk about GeForce RTX 3080. Yeah. Apparently being 20% faster than an RTX 2080 Ti. Now, my immediate thought is that seems kind of meh. Yes. For a performance improvement. You would think at least 30%. But at the same time, yes, but we also keep in mind that the 3080 will no longer be the highest end NVIDIA card.
True.
3090 will be the hiest end Ampere card.
Are they going back to dual GPU solutions?
No.
90?
That's a bit
so they're just using the name now. Yeah. Okay, that sounds interesting.
But basically, the thing with the 3000 series that I'm not very excited about is that they're changing the power connector. That's basically right now it's using 5 volts PCIe power for the power supply. That's standard, everyone uses it. Yeah. But they're going to switch it out for all 12 volt.
Okay.
Which means the connector will have to change physically.
So you're going to have a different connector now?
For the Founders Editions, yes.
Alright.
But what I'm pretty sure is going to happen is that when the board partners like Gigabyte, MSI, Asus, EVGA and stuff, when they get hands on their cards, they're just going to replace the power connectors with standard ones because...
Okay, well the PCIe are 5 volts, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they need a 12 volt, wouldn't that make a performance difference? Like, wouldn't you have to have a 12 volt to make it work?
I mean,
would they just, like...
it's not a matter of... It would just be the connectors that need it. It wouldn't be that the card itself needs it.
Oh, okay.
I think they're just kind of...
They're just
I think NVIDIA just kind of moving in an Apple direction in that sense.
Oh, or they're trying to push the envelope somewhere.
They're just trying to make themselves more special, in a way that's completely unnecessary.
And that makes sense, because they sort of have the sort of Apple... Like, people will think that NVIDIA was like, oh, that's bee's knees.
Yeah.
So they will go in that direction, however much money it costs.
Yeah.
Which is smart by NVIDIA.
Yeah.
So let's see here. You got the Turing family.
That's the current one. That's the 2000 series.
Yeah, so that's the current one. And that's almost 2 years ago.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy. Yep. In literally a month.
Yep.
It's the 22nd of July, they showed it 22nd of August.
Yep.
So that's insane. We've had that same architecture for a long time now.
Yep.
And now we get the 3000 series.
Yeah, we're getting the 3000 series, and then we're getting Big Navi from AMD.
So what's interesting is it's supposed to be quadruple the ray tracing possibilities.
I should hope so, because right now the thing with ray tracing is it's more of a tech demo than anything, because the cards aren't really powerful enough to do it.
Which is like my RTX 2060 is like, I am probably never gonna use RTX again on it. I'm just gonna use it for like regular gaming and performance. Whereas the next generation, because my card is basically for a tech demo.
Yeah.
Whereas the next generation might actually be actual stuff that you can do.
Yeah. Like I have a 2080 and I feel the same way. I was trying to play that game Control, I think it's called.
Yeah.
From the guys who made like Quantum Break or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was playing with RTX on, and it was just doing awfully. Like a 2080, like
how much were you what were you getting performance wise?
Without RTX, I was well into the 90s.
Okay.
And that's on a 3600 and an RTX 2080 non-super.
Yeah.
But then I turned RTX on, and I was getting down between like 60 down to all the way down to 35.
Oh yeah.
So it was just there's a bug in it.
There's a bug here? Where?
Yeah. I don't know, but I can hear it. Either way. Like, it looks good. RTX does make a difference. It's just not worth the performance hit.
Yeah. And I've been playing Quake 2 RTX.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I said that before on the podcast. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I talked about playing it. But yeah, the performance is like insane, because usually I get around 1,000 to 2,000 FPS in Quake 2, like on the OpenGL, depending on where I am. But with ray tracing, I get literally 40 FPS at 1080p.
It's interesting,
which is
for games like Quake 2 and Minecraft,
Yeah.
It's just the difference is just breathtaking, and
yeah,
like Quake 2 looks good.
Yeah, it looks like a new game.
It looks like a new game made in sort of like a retro style.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas
and that's just lighting. They're not fucking with the textures or anything. It's just changing the lighting, and that's amazing. Like how much lighting matters. I hadn't thought about that before, but yeah, I feel like ray tracing for those games is definitely the way to go in the future, and I hope with the new 3000 series, and I know for a fact that AMD is also planning to add some sort of ray tracing capability to RDNA 2 cards.
Oh yeah.
So I hope that in the future we'll just see
better
cards capable of doing it.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't end up like with PhysX, where it's just something abandoned. Like, oh, that was cool for a while. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
Because ray tracing is a really cool technology.
Yeah.
Is AMD? I haven't no clues about what AMD are doing right now. Are they doing any ray tracing stuff, or are they just?
I know for a fact they're planning on adding it at least to their next generation cards. I don't know if the big Navi cards we're gonna see later this year.
Okay.
I don't know if they will have dedicated ray tracing technology on them.
But at least the new ones are gonna be.
I'm pretty sure that's
they're
what
working
they're planning.
on it. Yeah, because they need to be. Because otherwise that's an NVIDIA exclusive.
But right now AMD does need a higher end card to compete with NVIDIA, because right now they're not competing. Within the 5700 XT, which is the highest end card out right now, competes with the 2070 Super.
Yeah.
Which is far from the highest end card NVIDIA has to offer.
Oh yeah.
So then, obviously, Big Navi, hopefully this year, will be a bit of a gut punch.
Hopefully that's yeah.
Yeah, but it needs to be. The thing is, if it performs, rumor-wise, we've heard like it performs somewhere between the 2080 Super and the 2080 Ti.
Yeah.
It beats the 2080 Ti, but it needs to be cheaper than 2080.
Yeah, it needs to be substantially better. You can't just compete. It needs to be substantially better because they're late to the party.
Yep.
And that's always the problem with AMD. They always come late to the party, and then they show up with an equal offering. Yeah, but most people have already bought their card, and if they've already bought their card, like, why would they bother changing to one that's the same price and the same performance? Like,
exactly. So it needs to be better and or cheaper.
Yeah, and so yeah, back to RTX 3080. So the news apparently came from a Twitter user called KCatCoreyi. I have no idea who that is, but they say. This tweet simply says the RTX 3080 has about 20% increase compared with RTX 2080 Ti. Now, what this source is, I have no idea.
No, it's just another one in the community of anime profile picture technology leakers.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I am entirely unaware who this person is, but hopefully they are correct, or at least there's some truth to this. Yeah. So they also gave some stuff here. It's supposed to be a
little bit of a chart we can compare.
Yeah, so there's this is supposed to be what it's like though.
Yeah.
So you have the Titan. So we're comparing some different here. So we got the Titan Ampere.
As compared to the Titan RTX.
Yeah.
So that's the Turing on the
GA102 is the new core.
Yes.
Compared to the TU102.
Yes.
And then that's going to be for all of these. So it seems that they abandoned the TI name, right? And instead they have 90.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how I feel about that. I really like the TI.
It's we'll see. We'll get used to it eventually. But looking at the specification between the 3090.
But whenever I think 90, I think dual GPU.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, but that's because it used to be.
Yeah.
But like comparing the 2080 Ti and the 3090.
Oh yeah.
You have 5,248 CUDA cores.
Yeah.
On the 3090, as opposed to the 2080 Ti's 4,352. So that's a pretty significant step up.
Yeah.
You got 12 gigs of memory, up from the 2080 Ti's 11. And it's running at 21 gigabits per second.
That is true.
So that's significantly faster memory. The same applies to going to the Titan, except it's slower there. It's 24 gigs on the Titan Ampere.
Yeah.
And which is the same amount on the Titan RTX, but it's running at 17 gigabits per second instead of 14.
Yeah, which is quite interesting.
This is all speculative, by the way, but this is the chart looking at speculative. Yeah. We'll see, obviously, when it comes out, but
I don't know. It seems like it's all...
I feel like this is going to be one of those situations where AMD just really needs to get in there and
mess around with things, because right now they're Nvidia is sort of running solo at the moment with the whole RTX thing.
Because I would love to recommend the 700 XT, right? Yeah. Because I have one, I'm quite happy with it. Yeah. But I can't recommend to other people because they're not going to want to deal with all the driver issues you have, you know?
Yeah. Which is a big problem with AMD.
The last AMD, the last Radeon drive AMD release was in May. So that was a long time ago.
That's 2 months ago.
It's almost 2 months ago. On the 27th, it will have been 2 months since the last Radeon driver update.
Which is really too bad, because my RX Vega 56, for example, has had a lot of issues since I got it. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I'm unfortunately not buying AMD right now.
No.
I like AMD. I like them a lot.
I'll recommend Ryzen's all day, but I won't recommend Radeon's.
Mainly because right now it's like it's just not worth the hassle at the moment. No. So just get like a 2060 or whatever.
Get it like I feel like right now, if you're in Sweden at least, the best card to get. Obviously, it depends on your budget, but like the most bang for your buck card right now in Sweden, not considering AMD because of the aforementioned driver issues, is the 2060 Super. Yeah, go for the 2060 Super if you can.
Yes, and that's the sort of sweet spot.
Because that will get you decent 1440p gaming. Yeah, it will get you great 1080p gaming. Yeah, and below it's obviously a wash.
And like we just want to make clear that we don't obviously. I have been an AMD guy ever since I started getting into computers. You have had a lot of good experience with them, and I have had as well. It's just that the latest couple of years, the latest year rather, and two, it's been pretty bad. Yeah. My RX Vega 56 have had so many issues and I think your cards have as well had some.
On the graphics card on the graphics cards, it's been rough.
Yeah. So at the moment, I would like Ryzen CPUs all day long, but just get an NVIDIA graphics card.
Just get a 2060 Super. Yeah. Like high key. Like you're not gonna, generally speaking, unless you're trying to do like 4K gaming, you're not gonna need anything.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's basically where we're at in that sense. So the next one we were talking about a little bit of. When you make smaller and smaller or go to smaller and smaller nanometers, you're bound to have issues with failures, and Samsung is having a hell of a time with this.
Yes.
So they had pretty bad yields on the 5G modems that they've been making.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on 5 nanometer now.
Yep.
With EUV lithography, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And so they're doing a deal with Qualcomm, right?
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to create the 5G modem, the X60 for, I'm assuming, phones.
Yeah, I'm guessing phones. I don't see why a computer would need it. No. So, yeah, obviously. But what they're doing is they're going down to 5 nanometer. Now, I don't think even AMD have been sniffing at 5 nanometer.
They have actually. They have a very detailed roadmap for their new 5 nanometer parts, which will be the 4000 series. So Zen 3 will be 5 nanometer.
Okay.
But the problem's going down because we're fast approaching the limits of silicon.
Yeah.
Silicon will soon not be able to go smaller. I think with people speculated, it varies a little bit because like 5 nanometers for AMD is not necessarily the same as 5 nanometers for Samsung or for Intel, for example, because it's all about how close the transistors are together.
Oh yeah.
So like you can have a 5 nanometer processor, you can have an Intel 5 nanometer processor and an AMD 5 nanometer processor, right?
Yeah.
But they have different transistor densities.
Yeah. So
that's the difference, right? The architecture is not the same just because they're on the same manufacturing process.
Yeah.
In terms of the nanometers, right?
Yeah.
So into the node rather. So it's a challenging. I feel like this is understandable. It's quite. Samsung is having trouble getting good yields on their 5 nanometer wafers. That will probably change fairly soon, I think. Yeah. Because it's a process where the more you create something, the better yields you're going to get eventually, because you're going to perfect the process, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It is challenging. Like the smaller you create something, the less easy it's going to be to get as many as you can, because it's going to be more difficult to produce them reliably. Because like in any given, I mean, this is probably AMD has had as well. Any chip creator has is because they come out on these big wafers of silicon, right, and then you stamp out.
Yeah.
Basically, and in any wafer, you're gonna have some duds.
Yeah.
They're not gonna work. So the problem they're having is just the wafers aren't yielding as many functional processes as you might
would
want.
Wish. Yeah. And I think that's a problem because I mean those are really expensive to create, and therefore if you aren't getting the yield that you want, well, you might be sort of fucked. So the thing is, so what's happening here is we still don't know if this is quite correct, because where this info is coming on is from I don't know if I can say this correctly, Hsinchu from Taiwan, which is the city where TSMC is at with their headquarters. Yeah. And the news are coming out of there. Yeah. And if Samsung were to drop out of the 5 nanometer race or whatever, or step out for a while, TSMC would be the only one making them in this area. Yeah. And that would mean that they would have, a leg up on Samsung. Yeah. So we don't know if this is true, but I would not be surprised if it is.
Speaking of TSMC, which are now the undisputed sort of kings of the fabs for creating chips, they're actually working on developing a 2 nanometer process.
Yeah, and that's
interesting.
And then Intel is saying that they're going down 7. Then 5, then 3, and then 2, and then 1.4 nanometers. So, and that's for 2029. Yeah. So that's not that long. No, it's only 9 years.
Intel, which owns their own fabs, AMD outsources their fabrication to TSMC.
Yeah.
Intel has their own fab space.
Yeah.
AMD used to, but they sold it off for a very good reason. Simply, it's too expensive to have for AMD in the way they were.
And then it makes sense. I mean, are they still 10 times? Are Intel still 10 times the size of AMD in terms of
almost
CPU? Yeah,
they've narrowed the gap a bit, but obviously there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
But I think even Intel, which has their own fab space, have had trouble going past 40 nanometer.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure the current gen processors, the new ones, the 10th gen, they are still on 14 nanometers.
I'm pretty sure that as well. Yeah, because they haven't moved down to 7 yet.
No, but they might be on 10. I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, I think it's 14. So they've been on 14 nanometers since 2015.
And they have their own.
They've
fab
had
space.
immense trouble with the 10 nanometer process. They have their own fab space.
That is.
So I think their problem is less availability of fab space, but rather just
that they are
the development issues, I guess, on 10 nanometer.
Yeah.
Or manufacturing is just.
And the thing is, when a company is that big, that might just be hindering them rather than making it easier.
So we'll see. I mean, if they get to, I mean, that's why I'm imagining once they get to 7 nanometer, they'll probably be on that for a few years.
Oh yeah.
That's why it's going to be until 2029 until they're down on 1.4.
Oh yeah.
But then I feel like maybe that's smart. I feel like maybe that's a smart suggestion because, as I said, we're reaching the end of the road in terms of what silicon is capable of doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if instead of trying to make a node again, maybe we should do what Intel has been doing and just stay on one node for a bit longer, squeeze it so tight that you fucking kill it, basically.
Yeah.
Get all the performance you possibly can out of that node, and then move on. Try to slow down development a little bit, because we're going to need time to find a new material that we can work with. Because silicon is not going to go... I don't think silicon is going to go lower than, say, 1.4 nanometers.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's going to go... I don't think it's going to be possible to go lower.
No, and it's such a specific size as well that they've chosen as this is our final goal for this sort of.
No, but so that feels very like, okay, that's the end of the road. We're not going to be able to place transistors more than 1.5 nanometers.
Yeah, and I guess at that point we're sort of starting. Hopefully, we can start to move towards quantum computing in a more sense, which is, I mean, when you look at it, it seems like this is insane. And if it works, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. But it's still
it's very up in the air. But I feel I feel like quantum is a very, very long term development.
Yeah, but we're still working on it, and it's progressing pretty fast. So hopefully, when we're like 30, we can be playing Crysis 50 times at once on a quantum computer somewhere.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. So let's circle back a little bit to the 47 to the APUs.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the APU Ryzen 40 the Pro 4750G, I think it is.
Yes.
No. The Ryzen 7 4700G is the one we're talking about. So basically, there's a test here that was leaked with so basically it gets a Cinebench result, R15 result of 2079 points, which is along the lines of the R7 3800X.
Yep.
And then when you look at now the graphics are sort of what was disappointing. We got the Vega graphics, right? So it doesn't. I remember when it was like wait for Vega, which turned out to be a big meme. But basically, this processor seems to be able to keep up, or at least even outdo an RX 550. So a graphics card around the 1,000 crown mark or 100 euro mark, sorta, which seems pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. Here's another story where the Ryzen 3 4300U manages to play Crysis without cooling.
That's pretty cool.
Which is... what the fuck? No cooling at all. Like, we're talking no cooling.
Which is pretty impressive.
Insane.
This goes to show the efficiency of the Zen architecture, the Zen 2 architecture.
Oh yeah,
it's very impressive.
That's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know. It would seem like there's a lot of stuff with gaming right now that's sort of exciting, especially on the hardware end, but also on the software end. So now we got Unreal, for example, with Unreal Engine 5 coming out, which looks pretty insane. Did you see the demo?
I did.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
It looks really cool.
Yeah. So it seems insane. Yep. However, it also seems like it will be you're going to need a lot of space for games.
Yeah.
Which is... like, I play COD Modern Warfare every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I go to install it, I look at the install section and go... it's like 224 gigs.
It's insane. Game sizes have reached critical mass.
Yeah, they are fucking... Dude, I don't get it. Like, are they not just compressing anything anymore?
Yeah.
Like,
what needs to happen is SSDs need to get cheaper. Larger SSDs need to get cheaper.
Yeah.
Because we're going to run into issues very soon.
But then you have the PlayStation 5 seems pretty interesting.
I agree.
With its new system. Now, I am no tech. I am not very smart, so I don't know exactly how it works. However, it's supposed to be way faster than a PC could ever achieve, mainly because it's different architecture.
Yeah.
For the storage. Which seems
the storage,
pretty nice.
I think it's not about... the way they're using the storage is a bit unique.
Yeah.
And they're going to be using it, I think... I don't know. It's a complex situation, but I think they're going to be using it in a way that will make the PlayStation be able to handle.
Yeah.
It's going to be. It'll be very interesting to see the pricing on these new consoles.
Yeah.
When that comes out, but I'm very impressed. I'm not hating at all. I'm very impressed with what they managed to do for the Series X and the PS5.
Yeah. So there was an interview with Ryan Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
So he's one of those. He's the head developer for Kotaku and Friends, or Kotaku's and Friends. I don't know which one that is, but they had a look at Unreal 5 apparently, and he says here verbatim, "It looks absolutely fantastic, especially the nanite system for start. I had to scoop my jaw off the floor after that. It takes a lot of headache out of the asset creation, but at the same time, it starts to raise more concerns." And one of the examples is Call of Duty Warzone, as I talked about at the minute, as people are harassing Activision over the size of Call of Duty Warzone. And figure out technologies now in the Unreal 5 engine that allow us to see to use the original source meshes with the original source textures and everything like that. The game sizes are going to have to skyrocket, which presents a unique set of challenges. And I think that's a problem, because I am already pushing my gaming laptop with half a terabyte of SSD storage to the limit when installing one game, and that's Call of Duty.
Yeah. And let's think about this. Like a desktop PC, you can always upgrade the storage.
Yeah,
it's fairly straightforward. But for consoles, it's a lot more complicated. Yeah, even if it's even possible, I don't know if we have word on if it's going to be upgraded.
I don't know with this one, but the previous generation has had.
Yeah, PS4,
and the one
PS4 was upgradable,
and PS3 was, and Xbox One at least I know, but I don't not sure about
because
the 360.
right now we're looking at the Xbox Series X will have 1 terabyte. of SSD storage, very good SSD storage, SSD storage, but 1 terabyte only.
Oh yeah,
which is already pretty low. Yeah. And then the Sony one will only have 825.
Which is like...
I'm wondering if that's going to be the raw capacity of the SSD or if that's going to be the usable space. Because if that's the raw capacity of the SSD, then we're talking close to 700 gigabytes.
Yeah, and at that point you're going to have to... You can install like 3 copies of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
So I don't know. It feels bad. Yeah. Feels like a straight up just not good situation to be in.
Yeah. So then something needs to be done, whether that's shrinking the game size again somehow, or if that's making sure that SSDs are cheaper, because hard drives in 2020, please.
Which is probably, I don't know. It just sort of boggles my mind that we've gone. I remember in 2015 where it was insane that GTA 5 had a 60 gigabyte install size, and now that's sort of considered a small game.
Yeah.
Or a medium-sized game.
Yeah, a medium-sized game.
Medium chungus.
Witcher 3 has 32 gig install size.
Yeah, and that was insanely big at the time.
And that was pretty big, damn big when it was released.
Yeah, and GTA 5 was insane. A staggering 60 gigabytes.
Yeah, and now it's just Doom Eternal, 120 gigs, sure.
I just...
Fucking Red Dead Redemption 2. 150 gigs, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just...
Call of Duty, well over 200 gigabytes.
Yeah, wherein you're only playing the same map over and over again anyway, so what does it matter? It's not like an open world game where you have all this stuff.
How long until we have 1 terabyte games?
Yeah, not that long.
Considering the pace that this is developing at, how long? I don't think it's very long.
5 years.
Mate, if we're lucky.
I'm gonna have to close my window here because it starts to rain.
Yep.
Real quick. But yeah, that's basically one of the issues right now.
Yep.
And I think at that point, I just say thank God for board games. They always stay the same size. No, I don't know. It's definitely a concern.
Yeah.
And I'm really gonna be interested or intrigued to see how it plays out with the new consoles. And one thing I was thinking that remember when the Xbox One was launched and they were touting that it was going to use the cloud?
Yep.
Well, now people might be more accepting of it because
Yeah.
they basically redid the whole system if they realized, shit,
Yeah.
literally nobody wants this right now.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays people would be more inclined to see that as a thing that they would actually want to
Maybe
happen.
this will be the rise of game streaming.
Maybe in a limited sense, where some assets are streamed.
My thinking is maybe because the costs, maybe like okay, hypothetically speaking, if there's no way to make storage cheaper,
Yeah.
maybe this is what will end local gaming.
Maybe.
Hypothetically, maybe this is what. But for the last bastions, the diehards, maybe this is where something like Stadia, but way better. Please don't use Stadia.
Yeah.
If you're gonna use a game streaming service, use GeForce Now.
Oh yeah. And even then, it's like,
yeah,
don't use it at all if you can.
But maybe if they can make it better than it has been.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this is what brings game streaming, like literal game streaming, to the fore.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the large file sizes will just be too cost prohibitive for the average person to have a gaming PC or a console.
Sorta. And maybe we'll see that development in a few years, and maybe at that point.
I hope not, because I'm a big proponent of just local gaming. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't,
also way prefer that.
Yeah.
I want to have everything running on my own machine.
Yeah, I want to own my games, and I don't. It's Yeah.
Yeah, which is already a problem with Steam being the main.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've already moved in sort of a software sense.
Yeah.
So now the only thing left is the hardware.
Yeah.
So arguably, I would say that it's an interesting development, but not necessarily good.
No.
It definitely has the.
Yeah. It will see. I think. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, on that note, I think
maybe compression needs to be better. Maybe we need to just develop.
Yeah, maybe we need to get some new stuff going there. Compression is definitely something where there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And new algorithms.
There's a question for the programmers, though, not for us.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's the end of today's podcast.
Yep.
We've covered a lot of stuff now.
Yep.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. Tune back in next time.
Yep.
And
see you later.